Hi everyone. Today we're going to dive into the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's jump right in. Imagine having the ability to connect with anyone, win people over effortlessly, and navigate social situations with confidence. What if the secret to success wasn't just intelligence or hard work, but the way you treated and communicated with others? Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of the most influential self-help books of all time, unlocks these secrets and has transformed the lives of millions since its publication in 1936. Carnegie, a pioneer in public speaking and personal development, believed that human relations were the key to success in both business and personal life. His book isn't just a collection of theories. It's a practical guide backed by real-world examples of how simple changes in communication can lead to extraordinary results. From remembering and using people's names to avoiding arguments and making others feel valued, Carnegie's principles are as relevant today as they were nearly a century ago. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. People rarely see themselves as wrong, so criticism only breeds resentment rather than change. Carnegie illustrates this idea by recounting the story of Two Gun Crowley, a notorious criminal who viewed himself as a misunderstood soul, even as he was being captured in a violent shootout. Carnegie writes, "Criticism is futile because it puts a person on the defensive and usually makes him strive to justify himself. Criticism is dangerous because it wounds a person's precious pride, hurts his sense of importance, and arouses resentment." Instead of criticizing, Carnegie advises understanding the other person's point of view and offering guidance in a way that doesn't attack their self-esteem. He notes that even Abraham Lincoln learned this lesson after a near duel with a rival and later became known for his restraint in judging others. A great man shows his greatness by the way he treats little men. Rather than complaining, focus on constructive solutions and positive reinforcement. Give honest and sincere appreciation. People crave appreciation more than almost anything else, and genuine praise can be a powerful motivator. Carnegie shares how Charles Schwab, a steel magnate, was paid $1 million a year, not for his technical knowledge, but for his ability to inspire and encourage others. Schwab himself said, "I consider my ability to arouse enthusiasm among my people the greatest asset I possess, and the way to develop the best that is in a person is by appreciation and encouragement." Carnegie warns against flattery, which is insincere and can be detected easily. Instead, he advises offering real, specific appreciation. The difference between appreciation and flattery, that is simple. One is sincere and the other insincere. One comes from the heart out, the other from the teeth out. When you acknowledge people's efforts sincerely, they become more willing to cooperate, feel valued, and strive for excellence. Arouse in the other person an eager want. To influence people, you must make them want to do something rather than forcing them. Carnegie references Henry Ford's philosophy. If there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from that person's angle as well as from your own. He gives an example of a child who won't eat vegetables. Instead of demanding they eat them, a wise parent might say, "Do you want to grow strong like your favorite superhero? They eat their veggies." By appealing to people's desires, whether it's recognition, success, or security, you can persuade them effectively. Carnegie sums it up by stating, "The only way on earth to influence other people is to talk about what they want and show them how to get it." This principle is key in sales, leadership, and personal relationships. Become genuinely interested in other people. People are naturally drawn to those who take a real interest in them. Carnegie shares how Theodore Roosevelt made it a habit to study the interests of people he met. Before meeting guests, he would read up on their favorite topics so he could engage them in conversation. He believed, you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Instead of trying to impress others, ask about their hobbies, goals, or experiences. By doing so, you become more engaging and respected. Carnegie also shares how a businessman won over a grumpy hotel clerk by simply taking an interest in his background. Within minutes, the clerk changed his attitude completely, reinforcing the idea that showing interest in others brings out the best in them. Smile. A simple, genuine smile can make a significant difference in how people perceive you. Carnegie tells a story of a salesman who doubled his earnings by smiling more often. He explains, "Your smile is a messenger of your goodwill. Your smile brightens the lives of all who see it." A smile isn't just about politeness. It's a powerful tool for creating warmth and making people feel valued. Even on the phone, a smile changes the tone of your voice. Carnegie shares an experiment where a businessman, after reading the book, decided to greet his employees with a smile instead of his usual grumpy demeanor. The result? A dramatic improvement in morale and productivity. The expression one wears on one's face is far more important than the clothes one wears on one's back. A smile is one of the easiest yet most effective ways to make a positive impact on others. Remember and use people's names. A person's name is the sweetest sound to them, and using it shows respect and recognition. Carnegie emphasizes that remembering and using names in conversation makes people feel valued. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. He shares a story of a hotel owner who dramatically increased guest satisfaction by ensuring that staff members remembered and used guests' names. Simply greeting customers by name made them feel special and respected, leading to greater loyalty. Dale Carnegie also highlights how business leaders like Andrew Carnegie, no relation, mastered this skill. Andrew Carnegie knew the names of all his employees, from executives to janitors, and made an effort to greet them personally. This small gesture increased workplace morale and productivity. People naturally feel a closer bond with those who remember their names. It signals that you see them as an individual, rather than just another person in the crowd. How to apply this principle? When meeting someone, repeat their name in conversation. Write it down and review it if needed. If you forget a name, don't be embarrassed. Ask again, rather than avoiding it. Be a good listener and encourage others to talk about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. By being a good listener, you naturally become more likable and influential. Carnegie recounts a dinner conversation where he barely spoke, but kept asking questions about the other person's interests. At the end of the evening, the other guest told the host, "Carnegie is one of the best conversationalists I've ever met." In reality, Carnegie had hardly said anything. He just listened. He emphasizes, if you want to be a good conversationalist, be an attentive listener. To be interesting, be interested. Listening isn't just about hearing words. It's about engaging, nodding, and asking follow-up questions. People feel valued when someone genuinely listens to them. This principle is crucial in business, leadership, and relationships. Carnegie shares how a businessman won over a potential client by listening to his concerns instead of pushing a sales pitch. Instead of selling, he let the client express their needs, and in the end, the client willingly made a deal. How to apply this principle? Ask open-ended questions like, Tell me more about that. Resist the urge to interrupt or shift the conversation to yourself. Show that you're listening through body language and follow-up comments. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. People are naturally drawn to conversations about topics they care about. If you focus on their interests, they will be more receptive to you. Carnegie shares a powerful example of Theodore Roosevelt, who would research the interests of people he was about to meet, so he could engage them in conversation. The royal road to a person's heart is to talk about the things he or she treasures most. This principle is key in business and negotiations. Carnegie tells the story of a salesman who struggled to make sales until he changed his approach. Instead of talking about his product, he started talking about how it could help the customer achieve their goals. His success skyrocketed. People are more likely to listen, trust, and engage with you when they feel you understand what matters to them. How to apply this principle? Before meeting someone, research their hobbies, work, or passions. Ask questions like, "What's something you've been excited about lately?" Relate your message to their goals and needs rather than your own. Make the other person feel important. Everyone wants to feel valued. If you can make someone feel important sincerely, they will remember you positively. Carnegie explains, "The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated." He tells a story about a woman who asked a well-known author for writing advice. Instead of dismissing her, the author took the time to encourage her and offer guidance. Years later, that woman became a successful writer, and she never forgot the kindness of that author. Carnegie also references how the great industrialist John D. Rockefeller made his employees feel valued by publicly praising their efforts. Instead of reprimanding a manager for losing money, he congratulated him for saving as much as he did. This reinforced loyalty and motivation rather than discouragement. This principle is about sincere appreciation, not flattery. Carnegie warns, flattery is telling the other person precisely what he thinks about himself. Instead, recognize people for their real efforts and qualities. How to apply this principle? Notice and acknowledge people's efforts, no matter how small. Use phrases like, "I really admire how you handled that situation." Encourage and uplift others rather than pointing out their flaws. Win people to your way of thinking without argument. Arguments rarely change minds. Instead, persuasion comes from understanding, empathy, and tact. Carnegie famously states, "You can't win an argument. If you lose it, you lose it. And if you win it, you lose it." Even if you prove someone wrong, they will likely hold resentment and stick to their beliefs out of pride. Instead of arguing, Carnegie suggests, show respect for the other person's opinions. Admit when you're wrong first. Carnegie notes that when he quickly admitted his mistakes, people were more willing to listen to him. Start by finding common ground. He tells the story of a businessman who turned a difficult negotiation into a friendly discussion, simply by starting with, "We both want the same thing." Instead of pushing your point, lead people to discover the truth themselves. He shares the example of Socrates, who asked questions to guide people to their own conclusions rather than forcing them to agree. How to apply this principle? When discussing opposing views, start by agreeing on something. Say, "I see your point. Here's how I look at it," rather than, "You're wrong." Use questions to guide people toward your perspective. Conclusion. Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People is not just a book, it's a masterclass in human psychology and communication. His timeless principles teach us that success isn't about dominating conversations or proving others wrong. It's about understanding people, making them feel valued, and leading with kindness and sincerity. In a world where genuine connection is often overshadowed by digital distractions and self-promotion, Carnegie's lessons serve as a powerful reminder. If you want to be remembered, respected, and successful, focus on others. After all, as Carnegie himself wrote, you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Whether you're an aspiring leader, a business professional, or simply someone looking to improve your relationships, this book is an essential read. Apply its lessons, and you won't just win friends, you'll win at life.